Tremendous thanks, Mitch and Shana, Rabbi Chadel, and our outstanding choir. Thank you so much for lifting us up on these high holy days. And good Yantiv to everyone. Thank you for joining us as well. In 1897, Mark Twain wrote the following: "If the statistics are right, the Jews constitute but 1/4% of the human race. It suggests a nebulous puff of stardust lost in the blaze of the Milky Way. Properly, the Jew ought hardly to be heard of, but he is heard of, has always been heard of. He is as prominent on the planet as any other people, and his importance is extravagantly out of proportion to the smallness of his bulk. His contributions to the world's list of great names in literature, science, art, music, finance, medicine, and abstruse learning are also very out of proportion to the weakness of his numbers. He has made a marvelous fight in this world in all ages, and has done it with his hands tied behind him. He could be vain of himself and be excused for it. The Egyptians, the Babylonians, and the Persians rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Greeks and Romans followed and made a vast noise, and they were gone. Other people have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now and have vanished. The Jew saw it all, survived them all, and is now what he always was, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no weakness of his parts, no slowing of his energies, no dulling of his alert but aggressive mind. All things are mortal but the Jews. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? Through all of our trials and tribulations, we have not only survived, but have remained a beacon of light and hope. This year is no different. If you are hearing me now, if you have joined our high holiday services this year, then you are part of our people's long-standing tradition of overcoming adversity. Whether it was famine in Canaan, bondage in Egypt, wars with the Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, or Romans, we endured and survived. Whether it was the Crusades, the Inquisition, the Shoah, or the myriad of other persecutions we have faced, we have continued to persevere, to overcome, and to prosper. No matter obstacles, no matter the trials and tribulations we have faced, we have adapted and continued on our way. Yes, things have had to shift. Yes, it has not always been ideal, but we have done what we needed to do so that our people and our faith would endure. A long time ago, in the land of Israel, our ancestors would connect to God and to one another by going up to the Beis HaMikdash, the holy temple. There they would celebrate. There they would make offerings. There they would come together to pray. But then a horrific event occurred which would change Jewish history forever. The might of Babylon was too great. It was overpowering, and the temple was destroyed. Our ancestors fled to Egypt or were carried away captive to Babylon. Their captors tormented them, saying, "Sing us one of the songs of Zion." And our ancestors wept, "How can we sing a song of Hashem in a foreign land? How can we endure when we have been exiled from our land?" They had experienced such tremendous loss, and easily could have gone the way of Jonah, lamenting his loss and crying for death. Certainly, some were inclined to do just that. The prophet Jeremiah is known for his lamentations. He literally wrote the book Echa, which in English is Lamentations. And yet lamenting loss is not an end unto itself. It is important. It is necessary. It is part of Judaism, but eventually we must rise from Shiva and continue on our way. And so Jeremiah commanded our exiled ancestors to continue living, build houses and dwell in them, plant gardens and eat their fruit, get married and have children. Do not let yourselves diminish, but live and increase. This is the message of Judaism, l'chaim, to life. And so it has been from generation to generation. We adapted, shifted, and forged a new future for ourselves. True, our ancestors could no longer join at the Beis HaMikdash, our holy temple in Jerusalem, but they could come together to form community, to study Torah, and to pray. Yes, they were separated from their land, but they were not defeated. And so years later, when the Romans destroyed the second temple, we already knew what we needed to do. We had been doing it for years, gathering in synagogues, learning Torah, teaching our children, and keeping our people alive and well. And here we are today, going through another tremendous shift. No one can deny the enormous changes this pandemic has brought to our world. Here I am in our holy sanctuary, in the place where our community has come together year after year, and I'm looking at a camera, hoping, praying that my words will reach you and that we will connect. And if you are listening to me, then together we are keeping our holy tradition alive. Shema Yisrael, listen, O Israel. Let Judaism into your home and into your heart. Let God into your home and into your heart. As the Shema says, place this teaching, beveitecha, in your home, and alavavecha, on your heart. In home and in heart. This is where Judaism must always be found. Indeed, during this strange time we are living in, we have joined together in all sorts of new ways, giving our heart to one another from the safety of our homes. We have come together to mourn, and we have joined in celebration. We have supported each other at Shiva Minyans, and we have rejoiced at brises and bat mitzvahs. Has this been ideal? No, not at all. This is not how things should be. This is not how things ought to be. We should be back together, all together, especially on these high holy days. And yet, as our ancestors did what they needed to do, so too do we now do what we need to do. Are we angry? Are we sad? Are we frustrated? Yes. And yet, as they say in Israel, ein breira, there is no choice but to do what we need to do to overcome, to live life, and to celebrate. Hopefully, we will be able to begin having limited in-person services at Adith Israel this coming month. But most of us will still continue to connect online, and that is fine. We need to do what we need to do. And for those of us who do choose to physically return, coming back together in person will surely feel good, but it will also be very different. Gathering together wearing masks and sitting apart feels strange indeed, but it is what we need to do. This time, this moment in history is about our being courageous and, like our ancestors, doing what is required to continue and to persevere. The word to overcome in Hebrew is lehitgaber. The root of that word is gibor. A gibor is a hero. All of us need to be heroes at this time, doing what we need to do to keep the fire of Judaism alive in our hearts, alive in our homes, and alive in our community. The fire of Judaism has always continued, and this time is no different. As you might imagine, our synagogue has faced decreased revenue during this time. We have had to scale back and make difficult financial decisions. One decision that we were faced with was whether or not to keep the Ner Tamid lit in our sanctuary. On the one hand, who has been here? Who has been coming to our sanctuary? Who is this flame serving? Certainly, it costs money to keep it going. And yet, how can we not keep it going? It is the Ner Tamid, the eternal flame. And so, of course, we kept it going. For thousands of years, from generation to generation, we have kept the flame of Judaism alive. And as long as we are here, we will keep the flame of Judaism alive. Moreover, we will extend its reach and brighten its light. During this time, despite our many obstacles, we have increased our programs, increased our outreach, increased our impact on our community and our world. We have done this because we are a community that perseveres, and we must keep going. As we begin this new year, we must remind ourselves that this is not a year to be timid. This is not a year to detach. This is a year to dig deep, to connect with our heritage and our faith, and to use its incredible vitality and strength to help us make this year the most incredible of years. This year, let us make a commitment to be bold in our faith, to infuse our Jewish homes with passion and energy, to be a light for ourselves and for others. This year, let us choose to be heroes, giborim, radiating positive energy and bringing blessings to our community and our world. Shana Tova U'Metuka. I wish all of you a good and a sweet new year.